uncovering the methodology and history of fallen angels. Fallen angels are one of the highly debatable topics in the realms of mythology, religion, and culture. They are known to be rebellious spiritual entities that were cast from heaven, yet the truth of their story often remains hidden and often misunderstood. Throughout history, fallen angels have been described in various ways, from powerful forces of chaos and destruction to symbols of hope and redemption. To truly understand the mythology and history of fallen angels, it is essential to look at the different interpretations of them and how they have evolved over time. From ancient texts to modern interpretations, taking a deeper look into the mysterious and misunderstood world of fallen angels can offer a unique and insightful perspective into the past. Historical interpretations of fallen angels. There are many different ways that fallen angels have been interpreted throughout history. Depending on the time period, culture, and location, fallen angels were seen as symbols of both good and evil, chaos and order, and even life and death. Even within the same religion and culture, there were many different interpretations of fallen angels, as they were linked to specific events and people throughout history. These are a few of the most common interpretations of fallen angels throughout history. Punishment for human sin. Many of the early interpretations of fallen angels were linked to human sin and punishment. This interpretation is most commonly associated with the Jewish interpretation of fallen angels. In the Jewish religion, fallen angels are believed to be the souls of people who sinned and were punished by God by being cast out of heaven. This interpretation of fallen angels can be seen throughout Jewish religious texts, including the Torah, Talmud, and Midrash. Religious and political misfits. In the early Christian era, fallen angels were often interpreted as religious and political misfits. The interpretation was often linked to the ideas of the early Christians being a misfit in the world, particularly during Roman rule. The interpretation can be seen in the writings of prominent early Christian figures including Augustine of Hippo and Justin Martyr. Symbolic figures of death. In the later Christian era, fallen angels were often interpreted as symbolic features of prominent figures in the Christian era, including Dante Alighieri and John Milton. Rebellious entities. Throughout history, fallen angels have been linked to rebellion. This interpretation is believed to have originated from the biblical story of the fall, which describes the fallen angels as being expelled for disobeying God. The role of fallen angels in popular culture. Throughout history, fallen angels have often been depicted in both religious and cultural texts. In many of these texts, fallen angels are depicted as monstrous, terrifying creatures that pose a major threat to humanity. In other texts, fallen angels are depicted as virtuous and powerful beings that have the potential to do both good and evil. One of the most well-known depictions of fallen angels in popular culture is the story of Lucifer from Milton's Paradise Lost. In this tale, Lucifer is depicted as a powerful and noble being that is corrupted by his jealousy of God and his desire to be praised as the greatest. Another common depiction of fallen angels in popular culture is that of the fallen angels as monsters or evil beings, often shown in movies and video games. One example of this can be seen in the blockbuster movie The Avengers 2012, in which the invading aliens are depicted as fallen angels. Modern interpretations of fallen angels. As with the historical interpretations of fallen angels, there are a variety of different modern interpretations. Some of these interpretations are based on the original biblical story, which others are completely new ideas. Here are a few examples of modern interpretations of fallen angels. Physical beings. While many religious texts depict fallen angels as spiritual beings, some modern interpretations of angels depict them as mortal beings that were cast out of heaven. The interpretation is largely based on the biblical story of the fall, in which the fallen angels are described as physical beings. This interpretation can be seen in the writings of prominent religious scholars and philosophers, including John Milton and Sigmund Freud. Emotional beings. Another modern interpretation of fallen angels depicts fallen angels as emotional beings that are formed from human emotions, such as greed, rage, envy, and lust. The interpretation can be seen in the writings of prominent psychologists and philosophers, including Carl Jung and Slavoj Žižek. Symbols of human despair. Another modern interpretation of fallen angels depicts them as symbols of human despair. This interpretation is largely based on the biblical story of the fall and is often used in the Christian context. This interpretation can be seen in the writings of philosophers and religious scholars, including Jean-Paul Sartre and Slavoj Žižek. The impact of fallen angels on religion and mythology. Throughout history, fallen angels have had a major impact on religion and mythology. Two of the most prominent examples of this are the development of Christianity and writing of Paradise Lost by John Milton. Christianity. Christianity developed as a religion in the early Christian era around the year 33 CE. Many scholars believe that a significant part of the development of Christianity was due to the idea that fallen angels were rebellious entities who were cast out of heaven and punished by God. Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a 1667 epic poem written by John Milton. In the poem, Milton describes the story of the fall of the angels from heaven and the creation of hell, including the story of Lucifer's rebellion against God and his subsequent fall. The impact of these works on religion and mythology is undeniable, especially when comparing them to other works that have been written about fallen angels throughout history. Examining the different perspectives on fallen angels. As with the historical and modern interpretations of fallen angels, there are a variety of different perspectives on fallen angels. While some of these perspectives have been widely accepted, others have been largely rejected by both religious scholars and secular scholars alike. The hierarchy of angels. This perspective on fallen angels is largely based on the biblical story of the fall. In this interpretation, the fallen angels were above humans and below God in the hierarchy of angels. This interpretation is widely accepted by religious scholars and was used to explain the hierarchy of angels in Paradise Lost. The Tree of Knowledge. This perspective on fallen angels is based on the story of the fall in Paradise Lost. In this interpretation, the fallen angel was the serpent in the story that tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. This interpretation is widely accepted by secular scholars and has been used as a source of inspiration for many modern works of fiction. Conclusion. The myth and legend of fallen angels is a fascinating topic that has existed for thousands of years. Throughout history, fallen angels have been depicted in a variety of different ways, from monstrous creatures to powerful beings that can do evil. While many of these interpretations are based on the biblical story of the fall, others are completely new ideas that have been formed by modern scholars. The myth and legend of fallen angels is sure to continue to exist for years to come, as it is a topic that provides insight into both the past and the present. Thanks for watching this video. We know you definitely enjoyed this one. Give this video a like and share it with your friends so they can learn. If you have been entertained by this video, then there's more where it came from. Subscribe to the channel to find other expository videos like this one, and you'll be amazed at the things you didn't know. See you on the next video. Cheers.